last month we had 73, and I thought that was incredible. And then somebody said, oh, we should get over 100. I think that was Lisa. And I said, there's no ways we'll get over 100 for the next one. And we've got 112 people from around the world, from India, from Sri Lanka, from the United Arab Emirates, and of course from Australia. I would love to know, and people on Zoom as well, I would love to know if there are any first timers, if you can just raise your hand. So there's Bob, and we've got Dushyant, one of our speakers, and Nidhi, Dushyant's wife, Ramalka, who's a first timer as well. It's really lovely to see you all and to welcome you to this wonderful community that we have at SpeakEasy. This is a shared opportunity to understand everyone better. The whole ethos behind SpeakEasy is that we have people from different countries, different languages, different cultures, different backgrounds, different ages. Absolutely the most diverse speaking platform that you will find. And the beauty of that is that everybody has their own stories and their own understanding of the common theme, which today is ordinary. And of course, that extends to the global audience as well. So online, we've got about 70, if I can do my math, we've got about 82 people registered online, which is phenomenal. So my invitation to you today is very simple. Sit back, enjoy, listen openly, be curious, and notice what resonates with you. Because somewhere in these 6 stories that we are going to hear today, there might be a perspective or even a small little shift that will stay with you long after today. So our 6 speakers today in the speaking order is Dr. Pooja Saran from India. We then come back into the room for Dushyant Tara. We then jump online again for Dipti Jain. We then come back in the room, I was going to get dizzy, for Hayley Mogilin. Back online to Syed Kashif, and then we finish up in the room with Ramalka Kasige. 6 excellent speakers, all known to me, and I know that you are absolutely going to love them. So I'd like to welcome to the stage our first speaker. So Pooja joins us today from Gujarat, which is Western Central India. And she is a Toastmaster. She's a distinguished Toastmaster, but is also a soft skills development trainer and mental well-being coach who works on the human side of performance, communication, emotional intelligence, and leadership presence, especially for people who are capable but quietly self-doubting. And who of us are not capable and quietly self-doubting? She blends psychology, NLP, and therapeutic tools, and she decodes why people over-apologize or shrink in meetings, and then helps them to shift it for good. She's the author of 3 books, and she works with major corporates. She sits on the panel for a UK mental health radio show and is a Toastmasters District Champion speaker. And in 2021, she was named Woman of the Year by the Mental Wellbeing Association in India. So a little bit of a personal background. So Pooja has just finished moving house. And she messaged me about 36 hours ago to say she's just had her first home-cooked meal in a very, very long time. So we're very grateful to her for making time today. And here she is. And we can't wait to hear what she will share with us. This is Pooja's 2nd appearance at SpeakEasy, and I hope the second of many, many more to come. Please put a big, warm SpeakEasy welcome together for Pooja Saran, The Ordinary Things, an invitation for us to look differently at something we all experience every day. The ordinary things, Pooja Saran. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Allan. I didn't put so much of effort in introducing myself. To everyone there, a very warm welcome and a good evening. And I'm sure in different part of world, it'll be good morning, good afternoon, or maybe ready to sleep. Let me start by asking all of you a very personal question. How many of you have ever re-warmed or reheated a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, and still didn't drink it? Raise your hands if you have been there. How many of you have wrote a big emotional message, a WhatsApp message or an email, and then quietly deleted it, just replacing it with a thumbs up or a smile? These little things has a facade on your face, while deep down you go through so much. While growing up, there was only one person who could look beyond the facade that I was creating around me, like a chirpy little happy girl. And that was my dad. And I'm sure you all have your different kind of dads. My dad was somewhere close to yours. He had only three agendas in life. First, to save money. I know you can resonate with that. Second is to save wrapping papers so that he can reuse it. Third is to make sure that he never misses a match on the TV. And I'm sure you have one of those. My dad would follow me everywhere in the house like a ghost, because whenever I would leave the room, he would shut off the lights and say, save electricity. I would even want to come back and see the lights are already off. Every evening he will sit. He had a ritual of opening the newspaper, cutting the coupons while watching the match. That was a regular thing for my dad. And my dad had a special smell on him. It was a faint aftershave and a cup of tea, maybe. Some tea leaves always around him. And I'm sure your dad has that some special fragrance along with that. But I didn't know something, that dad had an ordinary stuff, which I'm sure you all have that. Till the time I needed that ordinary medicine that he had. I was 8 years old and I rushed back from school at home crying like a Bollywood drama queen. Oh my God, my life is done. I want to commit suicide. I don't want to live this life anymore. And I rushed back home in my small bed, which I called my room, and crashed there. What happened in the school was I failed in maths. I got 2 out of 50. Have you been there? I hope not. I was dyslexic. I couldn't understand the difference between 2, 3, and 5. And when the teacher was calling my name, announcing as though it was a big achievement with the lowest record in the class, everyone was laughing at me. I just wanted to disappear. I couldn't gather seeing myself the courage to go back to school next day. So the drama. I came back home and I was crushed with all that self-doubt. I don't know what I will do. I don't want to go to school. And I saw Dad entering the room with his newspapers, the scissors, and one coupon in his hand. He sat next to me and he asked, what happened? Me, the drama queen? I hate the school. No one likes me. I don't know what to do. He couldn't even understand half of the things I said. And guess what? Did he give me a lecture? Did he tell me, no, I'm still paying your school fees, or I'm going to tell mama? He didn't do any such thing. He sat beside me on that little bed. He touched me. And he said, need a hug? I hugged him tight. No, marks didn't change. Teachers didn't change. I still got a good feedback from my mother, but something changed that day. I didn't know that a hug could make you feel so light. I was feeling lighter. Somehow I gathered the courage to go back to the school next day. That ordinary hug just kept on coming, which I didn't see ever before. That hug was now unannounced, uncomplicated, and very easy. It was there when I had my first breakup in 8th standard. I know it was too early. It was there when we lost our first puppy. He was just 1 year old. And I thought my life partner has gone. But hugs were there to pull me up back again. It was there when I wanted to take admission in a school with an interior designer. I wanted to become an interior designer. I couldn't get through it because of my dyslexia. But the hugs were always there. The hugs came absolutely unannounced, ordinary. Till the time it was not there. One day, Dad was not there. I reached home, and that day, in that hall, full of people, full of chair sounds, noises, I could smell the essence sticks. I could smell the old flowers, but I couldn't smell the aftershave and the lingering taste of that tea. That silence was screaming within, and somehow my soul was asking for someone to come and put hands on my shoulder and just open the arms and say, "Do you need a hug?" But hug was not there anymore. That night, I went back to the same room, a small bed which I announced as my room. Slept, cried, kept on crying till the time my 7-year-old cousin came to me and said, "Can I sleep with you today? I'm not feeling nice." Okay, why not? And in his sleep, he asked me, "Can I hug you?" And suddenly, I felt lighter. Somehow I knew that ages, days, years that my father has spent with his family has given them one medicine, one ordinary thing, a hug. And this family would survive anything. Days passed, years passed. You know that the life becomes complicated, announced, absolutely scheduled. I got married, I got kids. The hugs disappeared in the complications of life, trying to catch up with life. Till one day, once again, I was there in a Toastmasters meeting. And everyone was applauding because it was a contest, a speech contest. And everyone was backing me up. They were cheering. And my club members were rooting for me. I reached the club level, I reached the area level, and I reached the division level. But the division stage, I was not even a podium finish, not even top threes. That day, then they called me for the presentation, the participation certificate, and I walked to pick that up. It was not me. It was that 8-year-old girl going to take the result announcement from the teacher. No one was saying anything. No one was laughing. They were in fact applauding. But deep down, I could see people saying, "Oh my God, you cannot do that." The self-doubt creeped in again. I thought my life is crashed now. I've given so many days to it, and so many people had hopes on me. I picked up the participation certificate, and I was just about to rush to the washroom to have my crash down, meltdown, a graceful one. That's where an old senior veteran Toastmaster came to me. She touched my shoulder from behind. And when I turned, all I saw was open arms. She didn't say need a hug, but I heard. And she hugged me tight. Trust me, she was not smelling like aftershave, but I could smell the aftershave and tea lingering around her. The hugs were back. That day I realized that ordinary hug became so extraordinary with my father that when he went, I was just not looking for it anymore. I didn't continue that ordinary ritual. And I went back home. Guess what happened that day? My little 8-year-old son was standing in his room. He does not claim his room. He does have his room, by grace of God. He's standing next to the window. And all I can hear is, sweetie, what happened? Why are you crying? They say I'm too short. They didn't take me in the soccer team. My life is crushed. How will I become a big soccer player? That day, I didn't start my therapy. That day, the psychologist, the doctor in me was far behind. All I said was, need a hug? He hugged me tight, and I know he became lighter. That day, this ordinary ritual started back again in our house. These hugs are there for my daughter's breakup. If we lose anyone, if we lose a contest, if we lose a speech, if we lose marks, hugs are always there. Ladies and gentlemen, all across the globe, we have parents, we have people around who have these ordinary things coming up always, like checking on you. Did you eat something? Are you okay? Please sleep on time. Drink your water. Don't forget your medicines. Or sometimes just bringing that glass of water without you even asking. And at times, maybe a clean laundry. That's their ordinary stuff for showing how much you matter. Today, if I have only one thing to leave behind, is when things go on and off, when things go easy, when things go smooth, don't rush past these ordinary things that people around you are doing for you. If you today can go back and look at the ordinary thing that your mom did and your dad did, which annoyed you maybe at times, remember there would be a time that these ordinary things would not be there. So be that. Bring the ordinary things back in the extraordinary version. Thank you so much. Allan, back to you.
Thank you so much, Pooja. I can't tell you how much that resonated with me and with everybody in the room. I was sitting on the side and watching everybody nodding, and I think remembering those times in their lives when their parents or a loved one did something so ordinary and that we miss right now. And I love getting messages from friends and people checking in and saying, how are you? Did you sleep okay? How are you feeling today? Have you eaten yet? And sometimes I feel like I'm being mothered a little bit, but that's okay. Mothering is a wonderful, wonderful thing. That was absolutely gorgeous. Thank you so much, Pooja. We'll bring you back at the end for some questions, and enjoy your new house. I have no idea how you managed to put all that together after shifting house, and just extraordinary. Thank you so much.
A million. Thanks a million.
We are back in the room, and Anthony, if we can have the room spotlighted on the screen, thank you. And this is very exciting for me, and I'll tell you why at the end of the introduction of Dushyant, why this is exciting for me. So Dushyant is a product. I'll tell you the boring stuff first. Dushyant is a product and data partnerships lead based in Sydney. He works at the intersection of AI, media, and human decision making. By profession, he builds systems that helps businesses make smarter choices. So basically, he's a geek. Okay, he's very, very clever, but he also has that empathy and human touch as well. And he's drawn to the quieter question beneath it all: how people think, how they connect, and finding meaning in a very noisy world. Dushyant moved to Australia in recent years, and his perspective blends cultures, experiences, and a constant sense of reinvention. His talks explore the tension between ambition and identity, technology and humanity, and the subtle moments that shape who we become. And when he's not being a geek and building products, he's refining the craft of storytelling, which we're going to experience today, turning everyday observations into narratives that linger a little longer than expected. I competed in the international speech contest this year, and Dushyant absolutely smashed me. As soon as I sat down, and he was the final speaker, I think, and as soon as he spoke, I thought, my God, this person is going to win, and I'm so pleased that he is going to win. I've never been happier to lose a contest in my life. And I immediately went up to him and his wife, Nidhi, afterwards, and gave them a big hug each, and said, I have to have you as part of SpeakEasy. Just a gorgeous speech. That's exactly what I wrote here. Okay, awesome. And here he is. So with his speech entitled, The Forgotten Loaf of Bread, please give a big, warm SpeakEasy welcome to Dushyant Tara, who will be taking us on a journey through cities and ages and learnings. The Forgotten Loaf of Bread.
Have you ever realized that the biggest lesson of your life might have been taught to you years before you were ready to understand it? Well, I learned mine when I was 8. I just didn't understand it until I was 30. And strangely enough, it all began with a simple loaf of bread. But to explain the loaf of bread, I have to explain something else. I have to tell you about something I carried for most of my life: an invisible compass. Hello, everyone. I'm Dushyant Tara. You can call me Dush. And I grew up in a small town in the northern part of India. The youngest of 3 siblings, which means 2 things, depending on who you ask. If you ask my parents, I was the youngest one, the one they loved the most. If you ask my siblings, I was the one whom they missed every time they blamed if something mysteriously disappeared from the house. Even do that sometimes, even now. But while growing up, there was one person whom I admired the most: my granddad. If Gandalf from Lord of the Rings and Dumbledore from Harry Potter had a distant Indian cousin who spent his weekends baking bread, that would have been my granddad. Every Saturday morning, he would start preparing the dough, mix the ingredients really carefully until it got to the evening, cover it with a cloth and leave it overnight. And every Sunday morning, our house would wake up to the smell of freshly baked bread. And I loved everything about that ritual. the smell, the warmth, the excitement that something special was waiting for me. Everything. Except the waiting. Maybe I was 8-year-old and patience wasn't my strongest quality. So every hour, I would sneak into the kitchen, tiptoe my way in, lift the cloth, check the dough, see if anything had changed. Sometimes I'd even poke it just to help it along. If my mom caught me, she would grab me by my ear and scold me. Still remember that. But my granddad, he never scolded. He would just smile, look at me, and say, "Bunny, a loaf of bread needs rest to rise." And then he would go back to do whatever he was doing, maybe reading a newspaper or something. And I'd go back being an impatient 8-year-old, waiting for Sunday morning. Looking back, though, I think that 8-year-old boy was learning a lot, not just from his granddad, but from the world around him. Because as children, we're always watching, always observing, seeing how people treat each other, seeing who gets listened to, who gets admired, who gets taken seriously. And before even realizing, we start creating these invisible rules of how the world works. For me, that rule became simple. If I became successful, I would be respected. And if I'm respected, I would feel like I'm enough. And that belief, ladies and gentlemen, became my compass. It didn't point north, it didn't point south, it simply pointed to whatever came next. And so, but I started walking. I left my small town to move to Goa. Now, for those of you who don't know what Goa is, it's like Bali. Nobody goes there to study. But I somehow convinced my parents that, hey, I'm going there to study. I think they knew what Goa was. They just decided to trust me. So either it was beautiful display of affection or a very questionable parenting decision on their end. But Goa gave me something I had never experienced before. Freedom. No parents checking on me, nobody to tell me who you should become. I was discovering myself. And discovering yourself is quite messy. It's not a neat process. So Goa was messy. Late night canteen conversations, which somehow became life discussions. Friendships, they seemed like they would last a lifetime. Arguments, ego battles. My first heartbreak. But hey, I was growing through it all. You know, I was learning how to lead. I was learning how to face my fears, how to face my failures. But even during that freedom, the compass was still there. The moment I would discover one version of myself, it would gently point me to the next version of me. My friends still joke about this. They say, the version of me that entered the college and the version that exited, that graduated, were completely different human beings. And every time they say that, I smile. Because I know they're right. But I think they just forgot the 4 or 5 different versions of me that lived in between. I was reinventing myself, rediscovering myself. And that journey of rediscovery brought me to Bangalore, the Silicon Valley of India. And finally, it felt like life was rewarding exactly the kind of person I had become. I loved learning, loved taking on bigger challenges. And though the opportunities came, the promotions came, I was getting an option to go and present my work overseas. And every opportunity whispered the same thing to me. Keep going. There was something so addictive about it. It felt like every success was a proof that I was building something bigger, proof that every effort was worth it, proof that I was finally going to become someone that people are going to respect. So I kept chasing. But here's the thing about chasing. The moment you reach that, your mind quietly points you to the next direction. The next goal, the next role, the next promotion, the next person to compare yourself with. And in the middle of all of that chase, Bangalore gave me something I least expected. Love. And ironically, it came through one thing that everyone in Bangalore absolutely hates: traffic. For anyone who's been to Bangalore, I know Allan is nodding his head, will know this. The traffic in Bangalore can test your patience, your relationship, and believe me, sometimes even your faith in humanity. But for me, those same traffic jams, they changed my life. Me and my wife, we met through carpool because Bangalore traffic was getting exhausting to handle alone. So we started commuting together, discussing about life, dreams, and everything in between. And before I even knew it, I was looking forward to those rides. And the roots of that love, that relationship started to grow deeper. The next few years were not always easy, though. We came from different backgrounds: North India, South India, different cultures. Then COVID hit. You all remember that? 4 years. And then she decided to move to Australia. And we decided to do long distance relationship for 8 months. Mind you, it felt like 8 years. It's so funny how time works. When you're busy, years, they just fly by. But when the person you love is on the other side of the world, every day feels endless. So I did what I had always done. Followed my compass. Texted my CEO, "Hey, is there an opportunity for me in Australia?" And to my surprise, he said yes. The dream was becoming real. The small town boy was finally going to live the life that he had always imagined. But sometimes, the most important part of the journey begins when you arrive at your destination. And so, I arrived in Sydney, Australia. And Australia was everything I had hoped it would be. Beautiful beaches, lovely people, and most importantly, I was building a life with the person of my dreams. On paper, everything looked absolutely perfect. But here's the thing that shifting countries does to you. It's strange. You don't just leave a place behind. You leave a part of yourself, a version of yourself. I left my family, my friends, the cafes which knew my order even before I placed them. The simple daily rituals that once defined me. And now I was supposed to start again? And I know a lot of you would be like, "Dush, starting again feels exciting." And I'll admit, it does sound exciting. Starting again sounds exciting up until the point you realize that it's just countless days of repeating same thing over and over again. Buying your grocery, finding a GP, paying your electricity bill on time, wondering why Australians shorten every second word. But the biggest challenge wasn't even cultural. It was more personal. You see, up until then, whenever I faced any uncertainty in life, I knew what to do. I would just learn a new skill, grab a new opportunity, move. Momentum was the progress. But Australia, it changed the rules. In fact, it changed the entire game. Now life wasn't rewarding me for chasing something. It was asking me to stay. Nothing was wrong. It was just really slow. Promotions, visas, finding a parking spot in CBD. And when you spent your entire life, so many years, defining progress by momentum, even a quiet season of life, can suspiciously feel like failure. So yes, nothing was wrong. But the compass that I'd followed for so many years simply stopped working. It did not know which way to point. And my world started to grow smaller and smaller. And days started to become predictable. Every day I'd come back home, heat the leftovers in the microwave, go and sit at my couch, turn the TV on, and then begin the biggest battles of my evening, finding what to watch on Netflix. 20 minutes gone by, still scrolling, before giving up and deciding that there was absolutely nothing worth watching on Netflix, which is quite impressive because they have, what, 7,000 shows on this? Anyway, giving up, putting something random just to eat food, and because one screen wasn't enough, opening my phone. Instagram, LinkedIn, two apps that have the same magical ability. You open them feeling absolutely fine. And 15 minutes down the road, you're questioning every single decision you've made since the time you were born. Honestly, if these two apps were airline, they would come with a safety announcement, something like this. Welcome aboard Comparison Airways. Today's flight will take off from I'm actually feeling all right and arrive at our destination. Everyone has their life figured out except me. Flight duration, definitely longer than you intended. During today's flight, you may experience moments of unnecessary comparison, low self-esteem, and the overwhelming feeling that your college mate has his life figured out while you're figuring out how to fold your laundry. Thank you for flying with us. Please be mindful that the lives you compare yourself with have been heavily filtered for your own convenience. And I was a frequent flyer because every evening I would come back and I would compare my behind the scenes with somebody else's highlight reels. And their curated movements somehow became what? Evidence that my life was falling behind. And I would just like to remind you, nothing was wrong. I had a loving partner, a stable job, a beautiful country to call home. I should have been proud of what I had, but I couldn't see it. I felt like I was stuck in traffic. Not the same one. This was different. I felt I was alone. I could see everyone moving with their life, everyone reaching their destinations, and I was left there wondering, why is my lane not moving? And the worst thing was I couldn't even change lanes. And when you're stuck in your life like that, with nowhere left to go, neither forwards nor backwards, the only place left is to go inwards. And that's exactly where I found myself. One ordinary evening, sitting on the couch in my Sydney apartment, Netflix playing on the TV, leftover food on the table, Instagram scrolling on my phone, and a piece of bread in my hand. And I stopped. And I looked at it. Really looked at it. And suddenly, I wasn't 30-year-old Dush sitting in his Sydney apartment. I was 8-year-old Bunny, standing in his granddad's kitchen, waiting for Sunday morning, my small hands reaching for the dough. And that's when I heard him. After all these years, Bunny, a loaf of bread needs rest to rise. That was the first time I understood what he really meant. He wasn't just talking about bread. He was talking about becoming. Because when I look back at my life, for 30 years, I had done exactly the same thing that little impatient boy used to do. I kept poking, kept checking, kept looking for proof. Am I successful enough? Am I moving fast enough? Am I where I should be by now? I kept pulling back the cloth because I didn't trust the growth that was happening beneath the surface. So in that moment, I didn't see myself as the 30-year-old product manager who was somehow falling behind in life. I just looked at myself as that 8-year-old standing in his granddad's kitchen waiting for the loaf of bread to rise, except this time, it wasn't the bread I was waiting for. I was waiting for myself. You see that little boy, he wasn't trying to prove anything. He wasn't worried about getting ahead. He was just simply curious, full of wonder, excitement. And I feel maybe that was the part I forgot. And then instead of looking at myself and asking, why aren't you ahead? I simply looked back at that little boy and I asked him, have you noticed how far you've come? And I felt something I hadn't felt in a long while. Pride. Not because of anything I had achieved, but because of everything that little boy had achieved. He had carried the fear, the uncertainty, the dreams, the courage to leave a small town behind, the courage to cross oceans, the courage to keep going even when life didn't look the way he had imagined. And I feel the person I kept chasing all these years was perhaps the same one that I left behind all these years ago. In that moment, something happened. The compass that I'd carried with me for so many years, the one that had stopped working, it transformed. Not because I didn't want to grow. I still have ambitions. I still want to do everything I wanted to achieve. But now I don't want every single achievement to give me the permission to be happy, to tell me that I am enough. Now, I wish I could tell you that after that evening, I stopped comparing myself. I wish I could tell you that I stopped opening LinkedIn. I wish I could tell you I stopped questioning myself. I didn't. I still doubt myself sometimes. That voice still visits me. It still whispers, you're behind. But nowadays, there's another voice. The voice of an 8-year-old little boy, which replies, compared to who? You're living your own life, not theirs. For years, I thought this story was about bread. It wasn't. It was about a little boy who spent years, decades trying to become someone without ever realizing that he already was someone. He was brave, he was courageous, he was clever, curious. He was willing to leave everything behind and enter into a new world and keep going even when he didn't know where the path would lead. And I think we all forget that part of ourselves sometimes. The version who we were before the world taught us how to measure ourselves. The version who we were before we started comparing timelines. Before we started asking, am I enough? So today, I want to leave you with one simple question. What is your forgotten loaf of bread? Maybe it's a dream, a memory, a photograph, a part of you who's patiently waiting for you as you chase to become someone else. Whatever it is, I hope you find it. because sometimes the biggest lesson of our life is not the one we learn. It's the one we remember. Thank you.
That was absolutely gorgeous, and you can see why I was very happy for him to win. That was, before I let you go, Nidhi, could you come up, please, as well? I just want everybody to see the girl who trapped him in a carpool. If you ever want dating advice, talk to this girl. She explained the whole thing to me. The whole thing was planned to get him stuck in Bangalore traffic. He'd be in the same car with her for an hour and not being able to get out. So absolutely well done. Thank you. Well done. Thank you so much, Syed. A booking update. So since the beginning of the meeting, we've had a few more bookings. We are now sitting at, we were at 115, which is what Nagesh predicted at the last meeting and said we would get to. We're beyond 115. We're now at 118 people attending this global event, which is just awesome and extraordinary. So our next speaker is back online. So Dipti Jain, if we could have a on camera and spotlighted, thank you. So Dipti joins us from Noida in Delhi, which is up in the central north of India. And Dipti is also a repeat speaker. And hopefully the second time is the second of many, many times. Dipti is an award-winning public speaking coach. She's a mentor. She's a trainer with over a decade of experience helping learners of all ages, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, find their voice, specializing in particularly impromptu speaking. And she's a co-founder of Speaking Ninjas. And she's designed programs that build clarity, creativity, and courage. She is a TEDx youth coach and a Toastmasters award winner. And she believes true confidence is built in those unscripted moments, hence the impromptu speaking, and inspires learners to absolutely embrace them fully. So Dipti is working with me to coordinate a kids-only speakeasy from her Speaking Ninjas Academy and from our Chattercam program here in Sydney. And early next year, we'll have a kids-only speakeasy. We'll have 10 kids from across the world talking to a global audience, which is just going to be amazing. And I cannot wait. And thank you to Dipti for working with me on this. Today, Dipti is going to be talking about the ordinary Tuesday. I don't know about you, but Tuesday for me is probably the worst day of the week. So it is the most boring day. We spend so much of our lives searching for extraordinary experiences that we rarely pause to notice what's already around us. This talk by Dipti will take the audience on a journey of reflection, of connection, and rediscovery, revealing how a really simple shift in perspective can change the way that we experience life. A big, warm speakeasy welcome to Dipti Jain, the ordinary Tuesday. Over to you, Dipti.
So let me ask you something. You see this pen?
Yeah.
How much is it worth? A few dollars? Maybe a little more. Now, imagine this was not just any pen. It was the last gift your mom ever gave you. Would its value change? Of course it would, wouldn't it? Not because this pen changed, but because you did. And maybe, just maybe, this is true for everything. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're joining us from. I am here to explore something that most of us overlook. Not success, not failure, not happiness. Just an ordinary Tuesday. A few months back, I was at my hometown in, as Dush had said, the Silicon Valley of India, Bangalore. So I hail from Bangalore. And it so happened, I was just going through the old photographs of my college time. Not those perfectly edited ones we nowadays post on LinkedIn and Instagram, the blurry, accidental ones. You know, the one in which someone's eyes is always closed? Yeah, that one. And there was this particular photo that caught my attention. Let me show you. You see this? A family dinner. No birthday celebrations, anniversaries, or trophies on the table. Just few of my cousins sitting on the table and eating. 10 years back, if someone had asked me about this photo, probably I would have said, oh, that? Ah, nothing much. Just an ordinary Tuesday. And yet, here I was, staring at this picture, wishing if I could just go back to this moment for 5 minutes to be with these cousins. I grew up fighting over a remote control, like 5 of us bouncing over a remote control, or fighting head and tail for that last piece of cake, dancing in the rains, fighting as if there was no end, and still growing up together. Just 5 minutes, I wanted to go back and live with them. I could not. And that made me wonder, what if we are living through life without realizing the value of the moments we are missing? Okay, think about yesterday. Not your best day, not your worst day, just yesterday. Probably the alarm went off and you snoozed it, negotiating, oh, let me just sleep 5 more minutes. And if you're anything like me, you even lost to that alarm. And even before you had brushed your teeth, someone on social media had already run a 10,000 steps marathon. Or someone had actually launched a new company overnight. Or probably someone had climbed the Mount Everest and made smoothies from ingredients you probably haven't even heard about. And meanwhile, you were just trying to pay bills, reply to emails, fold your laundry, live a basic ordinary life, and wondering, am I lagging behind in all this? We've been there, haven't we? Our world has become obsessed with being extraordinary. Extraordinary success, extraordinary adventure, extraordinary talent. And somewhere along the line, ordinary started to sound like failure. Ordinary job, ordinary life, ordinary house. As if ordinary was something to be ashamed of, something to escape and run from. But have you ever thought, what if extraordinary was something sitting inside ordinary the entire while? What if these moments we call ordinary are the ones that matter the most? Have you ever felt that? Last year, I happened to meet a school friend of mine over coffee. And we were just talking about the last time he met his father. Neither of them knew it was going to be the last time. There was no grand Titanic style movie ending scene, no last final speeches, just an ordinary Tuesday. He was leaving for work, and his father simply looked up and said, "Drive safe." That's it. Two ordinary words. Even today, when he meets me, he always tells me, "Dipti, you know what? I would give anything, anything to just hear those two words one more time." Maybe ordinary is a label we give things when we don't know how the story ends. Think about it. The last hug, the last school run, the last family vacation, the last time the child asked you to pick them up. You didn't know it was the last, so you called it ordinary. And yet, you would give anything today, just like me, to live those 5 minutes of this ordinary moment. Extraordinary, right? Life doesn't always announce what really matters. Sometimes the things that matter come dressed as an ordinary Tuesday, completely unremarkably ordinary. And we walk right past them because we're so busy looking for something extraordinary to happen. And we miss them. There's a Japanese concept. I wonder if you've heard about it. It's called mono no aware. Anybody heard about it? Mono no aware. It simply translates, rather I would say beautifully translates as the gentle sadness of passing things. The Japanese have developed an entire philosophy around paying attention to ordinary moments just because of how briefly they last. The cherry blossom is celebrated not despite being an ordinary flower, just a flower, but because of how briefly it stays. Just 2 weeks, maybe a little less. The Japanese stop everything. They go and sit under the tree, look up, and they are entirely, completely present there. They understood something most of us in the world are just beginning to relearn. The value of a moment has nothing to do with its size. It has everything to do with your presence inside it. And perhaps that's why the days we called an ordinary Tuesday are the ones we miss the most. And that is one of the truest things I have to offer today. Nothing is ordinary. Only your attention is. I'd like to ask you to do something. Please don't answer out loud. You can close your eyes and think. Could you please close your eyes? Yeah. Think of someone you love, you dearly, dearly love. Now think of a moment you shared with them. Not a birthday celebration, holiday, or something like that. Just an ordinary moment you shared with them. Maybe sitting with them, maybe talking to them, maybe saying goodbye, maybe saying nothing at all. Just think about that moment and embrace it. Cherish it. Because there's a good chance years from now, that is the moment you're going to miss the most. When this ends today and all of us go back to our beautiful lives, I hope you carry one thought with you. Don't be too quick to rush through your ordinary Tuesdays. Stay a little longer. Put your phone down once in a while. Look at the places around you as if you're looking back at a photo already. Listen a little deeper. Because extraordinary is not something waiting elsewhere in the future for you. It is hidden in the family laughters, the family dinners, the blurry photos, hidden in an ordinary Tuesday, in the simple words, drive safely. This pen, or whatever your ordinary Tuesday looks like right now, is worth exactly as much as the attention you choose to give it. Nothing is ordinary, only your attention is. Thank you.
All right, we're going to get into the second half of the event.
That's stuff down, Emmy.
If we could just get everybody sitting down, please, so we can start with our next speaker. Thank you. You are having way too much fun. This is amazing to see.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Our next speaker absolutely breaks my heart. And I'll explain why at the end of her introduction. So our next speaker is Hayley Mogilin. Her public speaking journey began when she was 10 years old at Chatter Camp. She was one of our early kids at Chatter Camp. I won't tell you how many years ago because I don't want to give away her age.
Do it.
I'll leave that up to her. It's a lady's prerogative. And I remember when she came to Chatter Camp for the very first time because she absolutely struck me. She struck me as someone who wanted to learn, wanted to grow. And the Chatter Camp program over 3 days takes the kids through a learning experience where it's actually fun. They don't believe that they're learning, but actually they are. And then they finish with a showcase at the end where we bring all the parents and all the family back, and 10-year-old Hayley presented to a room of over 100 people back then and absolutely broke my heart and brought tears to my eyes with what she had managed to learn in 3 days. And she's just grown and grown and grown after that. She's had mentoring through Toastmasters. She's been a junior leader to senior leader and eventually became a trainer at Chatter Camp. So there's a leadership trail as well. So we brought her back as a trainer, which was just awesome. And she completed her leadership training module through DY Gavel Club along the way. She's had a lot of achievements, but we only have 45 minutes, so I'll just mention a few. She's won the Young Leo of the Year public speaking competition. She's facilitated Toastmasters events across the Hills District, and now she's bringing that same drive to SpeakEasy, using the stage to keep practicing, growing, and sharpening her craft as a speaker. And if you were here about 2 or 3 meetings ago, you will have seen that she's also an amazing MC. So today we are blessed to experience her debut as an adult public speaker. And if it's as half as good as a debut as a kid public speaker was, then you're absolutely in for a treat. Hayley today is going to be talking about beating heart. Beating heart weaves 3 threads. The anatomist Herophilus, dissecting a corpse to argue that the brain and not the heart seats the soul. The Earth's molten core, I told you this is going to be very different. The Earth's molten core pulsing an electromagnetic beat every 26 seconds. And Hayley's grandparents' quiet, unrecorded life as refugees from China to rural Australia. And then we're going to move into a meditation on the ordinary, drawing on Whitman and a Chinese proverb, and the seemingly mundane details of an ordinary life are, in fact, where meaning and love truly live. This will be something different. Please welcome Hayley Mogilin, Beating Heart.
This is the heart, and this is its beat. In a deep den of iniquity awaits the butcher of antiquity. In veneration of the ordinary, he extrapolates the necessary. Organs with incisions to mend was never a decision. Pale and cold cadaver, no longer pulse container, open wide chest cavity. Most would call this depravity. Yet eyes, veins, and ventricles, he's where our doctors get their credentials. Herophilus, the father of anatomy, was an ancient Greek scholar and scientist who is credited as being the first to perform systematic human dissections, leading to various anatomical discoveries. It is through Herophilus that we have a comprehensive understanding of the liver, the eyes, and the various nerves we have in our brains. Despite this, he was a figure of controversy in Alexandria due to him being accused of performing vivisection, that being live dissection, on criminals and animals. He was seen as an evil scientist committing barbarity and torture among the people, and so human dissection was nearly abandoned for 300 years. I wonder, what would have that dead body, before marred with such a title, thought of their own heart beating inside their own chest with their own flesh and blood coursing inside? That dead body was once a full and animated person with their own life and dreams. I'm sure they would not have thought of their own heart beating there as ordinary. The most notable contribution of Herophilus was that of cephalocentric hypothesis. This is the concept that it is the brain which is the seat of the soul, of the mind, of cognition, of consciousness, of thought. It is the brain which controls the body and not the heart, as was previously endorsed by ancient society and by other scholars such as Aristotle, because the heart was an entirely ordinary organ. This was their heart. This was their beat. Around the Earth, there are electromagnetic currents. These currents are, building up together through the motion of the wind and the lava beneath the Earth and the ocean that crashes upon the floor. The outer core of the Earth is this molten, vast ocean full of iron that's coursing and spiraling and burning. And it's the same iron that we have in our blood, the same iron that beats in our hearts. And every 26 seconds, this electromagnetic field creates a pulse. This pulse can be heard from any seismic station around the Earth. It is the clearest, most accurate, most reliable recording that geologists and seismologists can find, and it has been going on for hundreds and hundreds and millions of years, rather. Despite this, scientists are not entirely sure where this pulse really comes from. But we do know that the average resting human heart rate beats 26 times in 26 seconds. For our own bodies are our own earths, with our hearts as our own inner molten core, and our blood burning and spiraling the same as the earth and the lava underneath us. This is the earth, and this is its beat. My grandparents were born in Kulja, a small town in the far northeastern province of China called Xinjiang. They were born there, and they grew up illiterate, uneducated, and caught between regional tribal wars. They had a house with a small courtyard in the middle where my grandmother raised 8 children. My grandfather was a tailor by trade, and in the summer they would live by the river and work on a wheat mill. In 1972, they came as refugees to Australia, and they moved to regional New South Wales, to Orange, where my father was born 2 months later. There in their country house, they pickled their own vegetables, they went foraging for mushrooms in the forest, they hunted their own food, they worked, they ate, they slept. What a provincial and ordinary life. This year, my family and I have embarked upon a family history project. We have uncovered that my grandfather, in the later years of his life, with what limited language abilities he had begun to write down our story spanning 3 generations, and how his own grandfather had travelled and survived poverty and famine, war and persecution before they eventually came to settle in Australia. He is very precise with what he writes. He was a very practical man. He records facts and he records dates and he writes them down with precision. He does not write about how he feels because, in his own words, he was a scribe and not a storyteller. He does not realize, however, that affection, nostalgia, and love will shine through anyway. And he does not realize that all these years after he has passed, I will read what he wrote. And he writes, "We had a house, and near the house we had a garden. And in the garden were cabbages, tomatoes, cucumbers, and chilies. Sometimes we planted flowers. We had a cow, and when she was healthy, we milked her. There was a field, we walked in the field, and we hid behind wheat so that we could watch the birds fly. This is what our life was." For all my love and my research for my family's history, it struck me that I had always viewed them as ahistorical, as though they were just another event to plot on a timeline in the past. It never occurred to me that through everything, there could still be such life and love and contentment. They cultivated the earth. They lived on that earth. Despite everything, he remembered it with love and with only love. His heart beat in time with the heartbeat of the planet. Walt Whitman says, "To be with those I like is enough. To stop with the rest at evening is enough. To me, to be amongst beautiful, laughing, swimming, coursing, vibrating flesh is enough. I swim in it as in a sea." These domestic mundanities were made extraordinary to me, and I cried as I read it. Every ordinary moment of my life has built up to a time that I have loved and that I can remember with care. And through remembering, I narrate my story to be rich and full, because that is what it feels like to me, and that is how I know it to be important. My grandfather's story is not really his own, as my ordinary beating heart inside me is not really my own either. It beats so fast and it burns red hot to catch up with the beating of the earth and the turning of the earth, and it beats back through time and space to beat with my grandparents, who even from beyond the grave, they have imparted to me such an invaluable life lesson. And just as my grandfather was, and as we all are, we're inextricably intertwined with the souls of the people we meet. And all of us today here in this room are nothing but ordinary beating hearts, and I will remember it with love. So I will leave you with this Chinese proverb. Do not ask your children to strive for extraordinary lives. Such striving may seem admirable, but it is the way of foolishness. Teach them instead to taste apples, tomatoes, and pears. Teach them instead to cry when pets and people die. Teach them the infinite pleasure in the touch of a hand and make the ordinary come alive for them. The extraordinary will take care of itself. This is our heart, and this is its beat. Thank you.
Hey, just come back up really quickly. So, you were here when she made her adult debut of public speaking. You will remember this. That was awesome, Hayley. Thank you so much. Well done.
Thank you.
Big round of applause for Hayley. Absolutely gorgeous. This is what I love about this. We have so many different ways of experiencing the same topic. Who would have thought that we would go through vivisection and the Earth's molten core and hugs that we don't have anymore in the same event? We're going back online for our second last speaker, Syed. Syed is just a bit blurry, but is now visible. Thank you so much. Syed is joining us from Bengaluru, the Silicon Valley capital of India. We've heard about this, and the worst traffic in the world. I can absolutely promise you that, but it's perfect for dating.
Only if you share rights.
Only if you share rights. And Syed Kashif, he believes the most profound wisdom isn't found in textbooks, but in the lived experiences of the people around us. He's a speaker, he's a storyteller, he captures the everyday micro masterclasses in resilience, joy, and innovation that we often walk right past, transforming them into actionable insights for his audiences. With deep empathy and keen observation, Syed takes the stage to challenge audiences to listen closer, value the perspectives around them, and recognize that everyone they meet knows something that they don't. Because when we truly learn to see and share each other's stories, we build a richer, more connected world. And on a personal level, Syed is a colleague of mine in our Bangalore office. That's how I know him. I forced him into Toastmasters, which was really good. And he's a friend as well. And his father makes the best biryani in the world. He told me so himself. And it was an honor to be invited to his home to break fast the last time I was in India. Besides that, he has the cutest nephews in the world as well. He's not so cute himself, but his nephews are pretty cute. Please help me welcome Syed. His speech is titled One Stone a Day. And this is a story of an absolutely ordinary man with extraordinary resolve and endurance. What can one stone a day teach us about turning excuses into action? This speech explores how dignity, discipline, and small daily consistency can turn even the most hopeless circumstance into something extraordinary. Syed Kashif, One Stone a Day. Thank you.
How many times have you put your dreams on hold because the situation was not perfect? On a raise of hand, how many times have you thought, I'll start working on my business when I have more capital? How many times have you told yourself that I'll start developing my skills, I'll start working on my hobby when I have more time? How many times have you told that I'll start going to gym? This is my favorite. You start going to the gym starting Monday that Monday never comes. We live in a world that has become incredibly comfortable. Yet, we have become masters of excuses. We wait for the perfect storm of resources, opportunity, time, luck before we take a single step. Today, I'm going to tell you a story that will challenge every excuse that you ever made. Let us go back to year 1978 to a small town in Karnataka, southern part of India. There lives a man who doesn't have formal education, he doesn't have resources, he doesn't have a lot of money, no financial background. All he has is willpower and dignity. He works as a landless agricultural laborer. He climbs trees to pluck coconuts, arconuts. He does daily chores in a farm for a few hundred rupees a day. One day, impressed by his loyalty and his obedience, his landlord decides to give him 2 acres of land on top of a hill. For anyone else, this will be a cruel joke. Because this hill it's a desert, it's barren. Nothing grows over there, it's not fertile. Most of all, there is no water. His friends and his neighbors see this land and tell him to abandon it. They tell him it's a waste of time. But then a man decides something. He decides that he does not want to rely on his relatives to meet his needs, to meet his family's needs. He chooses dignity over dependency. He decides that he's going to look at this land not as a curse, but as an empty canvas. He decides to live there. Now, having a farm is one thing, but surviving in those circumstances is another. At a place like that, thirst is your biggest challenge. His wife used to travel 2 kilometers down the hill to get 1 pot of water, and then again walk back 2 kilometers up the hill with a heavy pot of water on her head. Bear in mind, this is not a flat surface that you just walk 2 kilometers. This is a rough terrain. Even with my trekking shoes, I managed to fall. I managed to sprain my ankles. Every step she took was a reminder of their hardship. Our man did not have resources to dig a borewell. He did not have resources to hire a crew. But he decides to do something impossible. He decides to dig a tunnel into the heart of the mountain in search of water. Now, how does he do this? When you're starving, how do you get time to dig a tunnel? This is where his discipline comes into picture. During the daytime, he works his regular job. He goes to a farm. He works as a daily wage laborer and provides for his family. But when the sun sets and everyone goes to sleep, he starts working on his dream. He started digging a tunnel, and people around him saw this and they thought, okay, he's up to something. He's going to do something. A couple of weeks go by and the tunnel collapsed on him. People start laughing at him. They start joking about his impossible task that he's about to do. He ignores that. He kept his focus. He keeps digging. He starts digging his second tunnel. Unfortunately, this time he hits a hard rock which is impossible to penetrate with the tools that he has. He just had an axe, a crowbar, nothing else, no fancy machinery. He continues to dig. Does he know for a fact that there is water? Does he know that his end results are going to be good? No, he doesn't know that. He just continues to do what is in his control. Today, We keep ourselves from starting business because we don't know for a fact if it is going to be successful. We keep ourselves from upskilling ourselves because we don't know if it is going to help our career. We keep ourselves from going to gym. We don't know if we're going to attain the physique that we want to. But he continues to do this. He digs tunnel 6 hours on a daily basis. I wonder what keeps him motivating. Perhaps he's dreaming of a farm when he eventually finds water. He's manifesting how his farm looks like, or how his farm would look like when he managed to find water. Given the landscape that he is, it's not going to be a plain, vast farm. It's a slopey hill. It's going to be a multi-level farm. Now, to have this multi-level farm, he needs massive walls to retain soil. He needs to form terraces to get this multi-level farm. How does he do that? He doesn't have resources. We know that. He won't be able to hire a crew to build a wall. But if there is something in abundance in this locality, in this region, it is sun-baked rocks, stones. So he decided to start a new ritual. Every day when he finishes his work and comes back to his home, he will carry one stone. One stone a day after day, week after week. Imagine how ridiculous it must have looked to the outside world. He's a poor man who's having one failed attempt after another digging tunnel in search of water. Now he started something that looks funny for them. He's carrying one stone every single day. They start joking about him. It's an open mockery. Are you going to have a farm with this one stone, mate? He chose to ignore that noise. He just wants to continue what he's doing. Perhaps he understands the profound power of consistency, compounding consistency that our today's fast-paced society is forgetting. He has 50 stones and then 60, 70. And when he sees there's enough stones to build a small portion of wall, he builds one. And he looks at these stones. Imagine how happy he must have felt to see a small, tiny accomplishment. Perhaps that kept him pushing. After years, one stone turned out to be 1,000 stones, and he had massive walls retaining soil, and he did it all by himself. Now, these walls, these retaining walls are of no use if you don't find water. Where are we with water? Did he find that water? 4 years have passed on, and this is his 6th tunnel now. 5 failed attempts of finding water digging tunnel. But something amazing happened. On the 6th tunnel, he finally found this water, a steady stream of water. He managed to cave way. By now, he is hundreds of meters inside the mountain. He managed to cave way for that water to get out. And he calls his wife to show her that I've finally found water. Now here comes the wife. The entire village has been laughing upon my husband. They've been making jokes out of him that he's up to doing something stupid. And here the wife comes to see water. Imagine the happiness on her face. She never gave up on her husband. She always supported her. What does this mean? Does this mean that I don't have to walk 2 kilometers on daily basis to get a pot of water so that my family could drink and I could cook? All I have to do is open my door and I'll have water. They built a small tank so that they could retain this water because it's going to be a steady flow. And soon enough, this small tank was not sufficient. On a daily basis, thousands of liters of water just kept coming from this mountain. And it's sweet water, cold, sweet water. Now that the small tank was not sufficient, they actually built a big tank with his mind that he will be needing this water to have his farm that he always dreamt of. He built a bigger tank. Today, he has a fully functional farm. He has coconut trees pepper plantation, cocoa plants, banana plants, and then a few veggies that he grows for himself. He has a couple of cows, he milks them. Of course, he has two dogs that he's very fond of. What an end to a story. A man who was presented with impossible odds, countless challenges, who refused to give up, an ordinary man who did something extraordinary. Well, this is not end, not yet. For nearly 40 years, this man lived in a mystery. Nobody apart from his small village knew what he had accomplished. But something interesting happened. A few local agriculturists visited his farm to see what he had done. A few ordinary citizens visited his farm to see what he has done. And they chose not just to admire his accomplishment, they chose to spread this. People started posting videos on internet, on their social media. A few agriculturists wrote an article in newspaper. In fact, that is how I got to know about this man. That's an interesting story. Somewhere around 2007, late 2017, I asked my friend, how was your weekend? And he told me that he has visited a farm stay, a weekend filled with fun activities. He also visited a nearby farm to see this man and his accomplishment. And he showed me a video. And I'm seeing this video like a 6 feet tunnel, which is 6 feet tall and which is barely 1 foot wide. And there is water flowing out of it. And it is so shallow that my friend couldn't walk into the tunnel. He had to slide into the tunnel. And this goes hundreds of meters. And as in how it goes, the height keeps reducing and then he'll have to crawl and go in. I was so mesmerized. I was so happy to see this. I wanted to know how has he done this? I wanted to know who is this man? What's his name? In a couple of months, I visited this place. I visited this man and his family. And his name is Amai Mahalinga Nayak, an ordinary person who has done something beautiful for himself. And the story catches fire. People start spreading more and more about this until it reaches the corridor of highest power in India, that is the Indian government. In year 2022, Mahalinga Nayak was awarded Padma Shri Award. For our international audience, this is the 4th highest honor for civilians in India. Just 40 years ago, an entire village was laughing at him, and today he's standing in the presidential suite receiving an award from President of India while the entire nation applauds. This brings me to the final part. Look at the world around us. Look at our news feeds. Look at our television screens. Look at our newspapers. Our media has become an engine that glorifies negativity, despair, division. We hear stories about fights, greed. Why? Because anger catches click. But the climax of Mahalinga's story tells us the power of shifting narrative. For 40 years, his story was buried in dark, perhaps darker than those tunnels he dug. But when ordinary citizens choose to use their voice to spread positivity, within 5 years, it had inspired millions of us. It did not just change Mahalinga's life by giving him an award. It's changed our society by giving us a hero to look up to. We need to realize the power of spreading positivity. When we spread positive news, we make our future generations to be builders and not complainers. By spreading positivity, we alter the fabric our culture is made out of. We make this world a better place, a more hopeful place. It is not necessary to write posts, to write big articles. You can just speak to your colleagues. If you hear something positive, speak to your colleagues. The way I was informed by one of my colleagues. And here I am today on this SpeakEasy event, spreading this news with every one of you across the globe. That is the ripple effect of spreading positivity. I'd like to leave you with two vows today. One, stop thinking about end results and start doing what's in your control. Look at your own lives. Carry your one stone a day. Carry your one stone a day with relentless consistency. And two, let us actively choose to silence the noise of negativity and scream the stories, the scream positive stories of people like that of Mahalinga Nayak on top of our throat. Because when we change the stories we tell, we change the world we live in. When we change the stories we tell, we change the world we live in. Thank you.
Really, Syed, thank you so much for that. Such powerful words, and two big learnings for me from that, or two big messages for me from that, are the one stone a day. So every day we can do something really small that over time accumulates into something really big. But the bigger message for me there was to spread the positive story and to make the difference in someone else's life. So I'm so pleased you delivered that speech. So thank you so much. Another round of applause, please, for Syed. And I can't wait for my next biryani. We're going to finish up with someone in the room, Ramalka Kasige. So this all happened because we accidentally sat next to each other at lunch at a district conference, and we started talking, and I noticed that Ramalka had butterfly hair clips, and butterflies are one of my favorite things for a number of reasons. But we started talking about what she does and what she's interested in, and she has a deep passion about insects for a long, long time. She holds a first-class Bachelor of Science honours in zoology from the University of Colombo in Sri Lanka, where she comes from, and she's currently pursuing a PhD at Western Sydney University, exploring, wait for it, plant insect fungal interactions. I have absolutely no idea what that means, but I'm very impressed. She's a distinguished Toastmaster across 2 Australian states, and she brings science to the public through storytelling, turning research into stories that are engaging, accessible, and hard to forget. Ramalka is one of my favorite people. I've learned to really enjoy her, and I really value her. We're on the District 70 public relations team together, and she's always full of creativity and challenging me, but that's fine, and innovative ideas. But today we're not going to be talking about insects. Today we're going to be talking about the train is not too late. What happens when life does not arrive on schedule? Have you ever felt that life does not unfold according to the ordinary timeline you once imagined? Through Ramalka's personal journey, she reflects on how easily we can feel left behind, stuck, or out of step with everyone else. Together, let's recognize that progress and growth and persistence and self-discovery can also make an ordinary life somewhat extraordinary. And sometimes a train is absolutely not too late. It's simply traveling on a very different timetable. So what if you're not behind after all? Please give a massive, massive SpeakEasy welcome to our final speaker, Ramalka Kasige. The train is not too late. And a big hug. This is the best job in the world.
Thank you, Allan. Have you ever stood on a train platform and thought, the train should have arrived by now. Yes? Familiar to you? Yes, that's very much familiar to me as well. You may double check your phone app, then maybe have a sneak peek towards the track and watch other trains arrive and passing you. Now, with the passing every minute, you will feel a little bit anxious, nervous, and impatient as well. Ladies and gentlemen, this is exactly how life feels for most of us. We always think that our lives should go according to a timetable. We stand on a platform of our own lives and wait for someone or something to arrive at a certain time. It can be a career opportunity, it can be a university offer, a relationship, or you name it. That could be one of them. The version of ourselves that we thought we should have arrived by now, while we observe our friends and colleagues and family moving forward with exactly what we wanted to have in our lives. Isn't that familiar to you? Yes, it's very much familiar to me. When I was very small, I thought everything happens according to a timetable, scheduled. And the success or the results would happen according to that timetable in a very neat and a predictable fashion. Doesn't that sound like a train timetable? But I discovered that life is not always like a Sydney train timetable. Why? It can have delays. It can occasionally have platform changes, unexpected stops, and sometimes some explanations that we can't even understand. Now, with that, I realized that past 5 years of my life never went according to a timetable. Because I thought, okay, I need to study, graduate, land on a good job, then I will find a good partner, then everything will fall into place. But no, it didn't happen like that. I will take you back to 2020, where I graduated with the first class honors in zoology from University of Colombo. I got 3 gold medals. I immediately got the job as an assistant lecturer in the university, the same faculty. Everything was going according to the timetable that I thought that was happening inside my head. I was very confident with my next step in the timetable, that was applying for a PhD, for higher studies. So with so much confidence, I started applying. Now at the time, it was COVID, and Australian and New Zealand borders were closed. So the only option for me, as my colleagues did, to apply for US. So I looked up for US universities, which offered life sciences related to zoology and insects, and then applied for 10 universities. I faced the interview well, I progressed to the final round. In silence, I didn't hear anything from them. While I see my other friends getting offers, not just 1, 2, 3, and more, I was just waiting to hear from the universities. My friends were packing their luggages and moving forward, flying to US to start their PhD. And I was just standing on my platform, waiting to hear from a university. Yes, I did hear from a university in Michigan, but that was without funding. Now, going to a foreign country without funding and starting a research, not a practical idea I'm sure. So I couldn't go forward with that. I was sad and frustrated. The ordinary question came up to me, well, referring to a timetable. Is my train too late? It took me a while to understand. I was sad, I was frustrated. I gave a day to mourn. I gave myself another day to cry and feel defeated or not. Then I woke up the next day and sat down in front of my computer and started all over again. I still can remember exploring 40 universities in Australia and making that Excel sheet. I shortlisted 10 universities, spoke to supervisors, went through the interview process, and applied this time with a fresh eye, a fresh mind, and trying to change what I did initially. Presented myself in a different way, shared my experiences, research interest in a different way, and approached in a different way this time. Would you imagine that I got full scholarships from all 10 universities across Australia? And Western Sydney, thank you. Western Sydney was the first one, so I grabbed it because I wasn't sure whether I would get the others or not. So ladies and gentlemen, my train had not passed me by. I must have stood on a wrong platform, but I changed the platform and worked things out, and here I am with my PhD. Now, I picked my destination and came to Australia, packed my life into a luggage, and started my PhD at Western Sydney University. Like anyone who arrived in a new country, I had to face through all the battles by myself because I came by myself. I had no family here. Luckily, I had a kind and supportive supervisors. And also I joined Toastmasters, where I found people who I called family. They helped me and held me tight along the storms that I battled throughout my life for the past 3.5 years in Australia. Yet, it sounds like it's going according to a timetable, but PhD wasn't that easy for me to battle according to a timetable. It took me 6 months to start my first experiment, and it failed 3 times, believe me, 3 times. And that's my first experiment, by the way. I had 4 experiments to go. But still, I managed to work it out somehow, understanding what went wrong in each and every single step. I was struggling with a review article, getting comments from 4 reviewers who were looking at that, giving comments for me to improve it. And I was working on that for the past 2 years, and finally it got accepted and was published last year, luckily. I'm free from that now. But still, my PhD is going on. Because when I first started, I thought, I will finish in 3 years. And 3 years was over by last year, December 2025. And now I'm into the 4th year as well. What went wrong? The ordinary question about the timetable was hovering in my head. Is my train late? But ladies and gentlemen, it had not passed me by again. I discovered that I'm already boarded onto that train. And I'm going that ride. I'm going inside the journey on that train, learning from my mistakes, learning from others, and correcting my mistakes, and going forward and enjoying the journey. And I believe, even if you feel like the progress is quite slow, if you are proceeding, and if you can see the destination is coming very soon, that is also a part of success. That's what I tell myself whenever I feel that my train seems to be very late. Now, that's all about education. But did you know that finding a life partner also followed more or less a similar journey? I don't know whether it's something to do with the Asian culture or in general in the society. People always think that even love should have a schedule. It also go according to a timetable. Well, I don't believe that. However, people always think you should find a partner at a certain age, you should get engaged or you should get married at a certain age, and you should start your happily ever after at a certain age, according to a timetable. But for me, it didn't work out in that way. And this came as a curious question. Still single? Oh, still single? Yes, it came as a joke sometimes, and I became a joke for some people as well, because I did not fit to that timetable. My life did not go according to that timetable. However, I realized that the train is not too late. Yet I kept asking that question. Yes, there were few people approaching me, but they didn't come on the right train. Well, I landed on different platforms, but no trains arrived. Not my fault, I think so. Well, even though I felt that the train must have passed me by, I believe it must have not passed me by. Maybe I was standing at a wrong platform, or maybe it's still coming on the way. But for the society, it was a question that things did not fit to a timetable, but life was going on, and things were happening and moving on. And I was building a life. I was working for things, going for my goals, enjoying my little passions like Toastmasters, and spending my time and building my life with friends and family and the love they give for me. So things were happening. And yes, I will wait for the train thinking it is not too late. Ladies and gentlemen, reflecting on the past 5 years of my life, it made me understood that I have been comparing my life according to an ordinary timetable that was set for me by the society, or that has been existing already in the society. Maybe I may not have thought that the little progresses, that my courage to learn and grow and to reach my ambitions and to think not to give up are also little wins and successes that did not go according to the timetable, but went according to a way that I set up in my life. Whenever you feel like you are left behind or that things don't go according to as you planned, please remember that your train is not too late. It is taking you to a destination that is uniquely yours, carrying your own story at your very own pace.
This is why I love this event. That's the first time I've actually seen Ramalka present a speech. I've seen her in leadership roles and I've seen her deliver awards presentations, but actually stand up and deliver a speech. And I knew that she could do it, and that was awesome. That was beautiful. Thank you so much. And I hope your train comes along on the right platform at the right time with the right destination at some point. But Sydney trains, who knows, huh? We've come to the end of an amazing event, and I know we're running over time, and I apologize for that, but we've just had so much good value and so much good content today and so many good speakers. And before I kind of move on, I would just love to get our three Sydney speakers up to the front. And if we could get, if Pooja, Dipti and Syed are still online, if we could get them up on the screen as well. And we'll just take a photo if somebody else can take a photo, because I can't take a photo while I'm up here. So come up, Hayley. Come up, Dushyant. Come up, Ramalka. And if we can... So Dipti, Pooja, and Syed, if you could come online as well, and we'll take a big screenshot. We normally have a Q&A at the end, but because we are running late, I'm going to skip that. But what I do have is in the chat on Zoom, I have a feedback form. That was one of Ramalka's most excellent suggestions as head of PR for District 70. And I'll be sending the feedback form to everybody here as well. So we'd love your feedback and questions for the speakers. Are we all there? I can see Syed, I can see all of us, and Speed Test and Cuba. And thank you. We're just sorting out the logistics on screen. There we go. Awesome. And I'd also like to invite Anthony up here to join me, please, because the man behind the curtain, the man that you don't see, who does absolutely everything to do with tech and audio and video, and with the greatest generosity of his heart. He always says yes, and it makes me feel bad when I ask him, because I know he's always going to say yes. But really, we couldn't do this without you, Anthony. Thank you so much for your time. Please give a big round of applause to our speakers, Dush, as I now know you, Hayley, the vivisectionist, Ramalka, who's waiting for the right train on the right platform at the right time, going to the right place. We have Pooja living her best life in her new house and enjoying the hugs every morning. We have Dipti, absolutely also encouraging you to find every single special thing in an ordinary Tuesday. And I know every day for me is an ordinary Tuesday. And Syed, who encourages us to take one stone at a time, and also to sing the praises of other people. So it's been a wonderful event. Before we close, I also want to bring young Liam up here. So come here, buddy. Come, Liam.
He's the later one, the other one.
Oh, sorry. They actually look so similar. They're like blooming twins. Okay. Your teachers call...
Liam.
Your teachers call you Liam?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I'll call you Liam as well. Okay. This is Luca Fagan, right? So Luca joined Chattercamp as well. So like Hayley, he's on the same journey. And this was his first or second time? First time at Chattercamp this year in April. And Luca is going to be competing in the semi-finals of a public speaking contest on Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good about it.
Are you feeling... No lack of confidence here. So, and are you going to win?
Sure.
Absolutely. Fantastic. And we will have Luca as a SpeakEasy speaker at some time in the future. You have to win though, okay? Because otherwise, I'm not inviting you back. Yeah? Okay, all right. Please give a warm round of applause to Luca and our SpeakEasy speakers, and online as well. We are back on the 13th of September. It was going to be the 6th, but then somebody told me, thank you, Lisa, that it's Father's Day on the 6th of September. So the 13th of September with Fear and Courage, a big topic. We have 6 awesome speakers, so Kieran Miller, who's a repeat offender, Lisa Forster, who's a first-timer, Mehanaj Tabusam, who is from India, Abaruchi Atri from India, first-timers, Chris Adele from Magnificent Muslim Toastmasters, first-timer, and then Petra Williams is coming back for the 3rd time as well. Our MC is Mark Ransom, who is there in person, and we're very much looking forward to that too. The Sydney venue is a complete surprise to me too. So watch this space, because that's that's what SpeakEasy is, right? So we don't know the venue. But the booking details are on the flyers in front of you, and I'll be emailing everybody who's joined online. So another bumper 6 speakers. We can't wait. Please don't rush off if you're in Sydney. Stay and have a drink and a chat. And we'd love you to just kick around and chat to the speakers as well. Fill in the feedback forms online, and I'll be sending it to each one of you again. So Thank you so much for being part of SpeakEasy 7.